Alright, time to test out the whip.
Harder, baby.
What the? Hello everyone and welcome. Today we answer the question, can you beat Elden Ring with an ordinary whip? I picked the Wretch class and named her Dominique because I have the mind of a 12-year-old and we're off. So this is normally where I go around collecting so many seeds and tears and I'm basically indestructible, but today, I don't want to do that. Since this run is all about pain, I thought I could at least bring down my power level to give the early game bosses more of a fighting chance. I decided to limit my character growth to the same progression a new player would likely have. In other words, I can't get to Altus until after Rennala, and I can't get to Liurnia until after Godrick. I'm sure a few of you would stop right here and say, wait, that leaves Caelid. You can get pretty strong if you go over there. And that is true, but you're forgetting one little thing. I'm lazy. Okay, that's sort of a half-truth. I did go to Caelid for seeds and tears, but I can't be bothered to hunt down some random smithing stones that would make me overpowered. See? Enough talk, time to grab our weapon. I hear it's in Castle Moore. Okay, I'll come back later. Finally, the whip. With this, I can become the Lands Between's first domination. Alright, let's try this bad boy out. The moveset is... alright. I mean, the range is really nice and damage is... well, I've had worse. But the real problem is, just like shields and torches, there's no way to backstab or riposte enemies. So to that one person who said all melee weapons could backstab, you lied to me. Whatever, it's not really that big of a deal. It would have just been nice guaranteed damage if it could, and I'm sure From could come up with a nice cool animation for it. Maybe you bend the enemy over and give him a good whipping. Anyone wanna take bets on if YouTube will let me monetize this video or not? Since I'm not letting myself beat up the Blue Man Group reject this time, I head to Limgrave Tunnels to grab a few smithing stones to make my whip a +4. With this and 7 + 5 flasks, it's time to take on Margit. 165 on a charge attack. Okay, I can work with that, I guess. In a previous video I actually said whips aren't that good, but I kinda like it. The damage isn't stellar and it never becomes great, at least not with a regular whip, but the rolling and sprinting R1 attacks have fantastic range. The jump attack, however, has nice horizontal range, but it hits really low to the ground. I swear if an enemy has some kind of jump animation, they will leap over it. At least Margit is a big, slow, easy target. We'll get him next time. Maybe I did lean on too many healing items early game. Also, probably doesn't help that I'm naked, wearing Radagon's Sword Seal, and only level 3, but whatever, third time's a charm and Margit bows before us. I was really surprised by the amount of poise damage the whip does. I fully expected this Banished Knight to own me, but I'm not locked in here with him. He's locked in here with me, and that'll cost him extra. I grabbed the Claw Talisman, but jumping attacks aren't really the way to go in this run. Shocker, I know. Going into Godrick, not much has changed. I'm still only using a +4 whip. I do manage to guard break him like 3 times during the fight, but without a riposte, we just kinda tickle him. It's fine, after one failed attempt to style on him later, he goes down, granting us access to Liurnia of the Lakes. I saw this cool speedrunning trick once where you can jump off the bridge and land safely on the rock. I'll just go around. Nothing really happens in Liurnia, I just collect all the seeds and tears and pay a visit to our old friend Blumen. At first, I was really impressed with how much damage we were doing without breaking his armor, but that's just because he's weak to strike damage, and after breaking his guard, yeah, nothing special. There is one other aspect of the whip that is good, and that's that it can't be parried. But I don't PvP, so that really isn't useful for me outside of specific NPC fights. I got a call from a Rennala? Oh my, with a castle like that, I wish you would have called me sooner. Wait, Rennala has crabs? Well, that'll cost her extra. The queen herself isn't really that big of an issue. I mean, we have a normal weapon, so it's not like getting through phase 1 poses any problems aside from feeling like shit from whipping her kids. Phase 2 is, well, it starts pretty strong. We have superior range, so her melee attacks aren't an issue, and as long as we stay close, she rarely does any magic attacks. It's when she starts summoning that it becomes a pain in the dick. Or maybe that's the crabs. Normally, the summoning phase just consists of hit and run tactics, but when we do less than 200 damage a swing, it's not so great. I spent about 30 seconds between the beginning of phase 2 and her summoning, then about another 10 minutes from summoning to her downfall. I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but trust me, it was obnoxious. Luckily, I charged by the minute, so it's fine. With her down, I have access to Altus Plateau. All that really means is a couple more seeds and tears, as well as the ritual sword talisman from the Lux runes. It's time for the Draconic Tree Sentinel. I'm not really picturing him being a huge issue. I mean, we're doing so damage to him and, well, that's a bit of a problem. Okay, let me try again. Just gotta stay behind him. Third time's a charm? Okay, so it's clear I don't pass the vigor check. Let's go, do something else instead. First, I grab Godric's Great Rune, spoiler alert, I never fucking use it, then I take the Blue Dancer Charm from the Golem since I basically have no equip load anyway, then I pay a visit to the massive Two Fingers to expand my pouch. That'll cost you extra. I head up to Caria Manor to start Ranni's questline and to fight Loretta for some runes. Thankfully, she is a much easier horse warrior and goes down first try.
Wilt thou enter into my service?
Well, that's my job, but for you? Yeah, alright. I make a quick stop at the Urger Avatar to grab the Opaline Bubble and Crimson Burst here, then decide to give Radahn a try. Yeah, I don't know what I expected. In my own personal headcanon, that bolt landed on some random dude in Limgrave who was already having a bad day. Okay, so Radahn is not happening right now. Let's just go back and see if like 2 extra levels in Vigor mattered for the Tree Sentinel. Well, would you look at that, I got good and he went down on the very next try. Nothing really happens in the capital and it's just up to see Godfrey, who teaches us that proper spacing is important. In most runs, there's enough time after his stomp to get a jumping R2, but for some reason I was constantly getting punished by it. Perhaps this is just confirmation bias, but this is where it started to feel like jumping attacks were just not the way to go. Nevertheless, after a couple tries and a whip to the knee, Godfrey bows down to us. Before taking on Morgott, I grab the Golden Order Principia, give it to Brother Khorne, then buy Law of Regression for later. With that little errand out of the way, we can take on Horniement Cursesword. This fight isn't hard at all. For phase 1, just bait the jump attack. It has so much in lag I could probably apply for a loan and put a down payment on a house. Don't worry, Morgott, that happens to everyone once in a while. Just have some water and we'll keep going. The rest of the fight goes pretty normally. Bait the blood slices and then just whip him good. With access to mountaintops of the giants, I'm able to grab the next Smithing Stone Bell Bearing, then I want to give Radahn another try. Cool, I still hit like a wet noodle. Oh hey, you want to come at me from outer space? Well, that'll cost you extra. It took a couple of tries, but Star Scourge Radahn falls to our mighty whip. The only reason I even took him on right now was to get into Nokron for easy access to Larval Tears. But first, it's time to fight the greatest warrior in the lands between. While I'm here, I grab the Fingerslayer Blade, then take on the Regal Ancestor Spirit, who is a boss. There is nothing exciting that happens in this boss fight, and I don't just mean in this playthrough, I mean that in any playthrough. I feel like it's a lot like the Elden Beast, a very pretty fight, a majestic boss to be sure, but what's the opposite of threatening? Oh yeah, Harmless. This boss is the Regal Harmless Spirit. I want to progress Goldmask quest, so I head back to Rennala and use her to get my faith all the way up to 37. Which was the wrong thing to do because Law of Regression, the faith incantation of the Golden Order, does not have a faith requirement, it has an int requirement. Wow, don't I feel dumb. Regardless, I picked up several larval tears, so this isn't really an issue, and after getting the big brain, I go to Leyndell and cast Totally Not a Bloodborne emote at the statue, which will prompt Goldmask and Khorne to move to mountaintops of the giants. After quickly changing back to the vastly superior Dex build, I head to the mountaintops to take on the Fire Giant. Okay, so here's the thing. I complained about the Giant's Red Braid, a fire whip, in my Elden Ring Ditto video saying that whips are bad, but that was partially because the Fire Giant has a resistance to fire damage, obviously. However, he does not have a resistance to strike damage. But that's still not a lot of damage because whips kinda suck. I'm lying, it's okay damage. I've seen way better, but I've seen way worse too, so I won't complain. Yet. Wow, I whipped him in the balls and he didn't even flinch. You know what? I won't charge him extra for that. Honestly, nothing eventful happens here. It was a first try on the Fire Giant. Whoa, wait, there's 2 of you? Well, that'll cost extra. Now I'm going to start complaining about the damage. In my opinion, Phase 2 Apostle is much easier to deal with than Rollout, and overall, I think his moveset is just easier to punish. But after I downed the Apostle, I kinda got cocky and thought I would go in on the Noble, but that's not a lot of damage. Since I made the mistake of hitting the Noble and making him aggressive, I thought it would be smart to go ahead and finish him, but that didn't work. I could have kept throwing myself at the duo, but I had a couple other options to make myself stronger first, so I went up to Castle Sol. Commander Nile isn't a problem, even though I apparently forgot how to dodge in this fight. I mean, there's really not anything else in this fight. It's just a cold man poking me with his long stick. That'll cost him extra. I hate this place. Making my way through the Halley Tree without an issue. I said without an issue, I take on Loretta. Nothing happens. Did you really expect a different outcome? The real reason I came here was for the Dragoncrest Great Shield Talisman, giving me a crazy 20% increased physical damage reduction, but we all know Malenia is easier than Godskin, so let's give her a go. Malenia has a what now? The Rot what? Oh, that will cost her so much extra. So I knew the whip's range would help me out here, but there was an unexpected occurrence with this fight. So first, yes, the range of the whip is just outside of her attack range, meaning it's pretty safe to hit her, but in almost 100% of cases, if I landed 2 hits, she would jump away. I don't know why she did this, but it basically meant phase 1 was free. The loop became stand just outside of her range, hit her twice, then chase her down. The only real danger is waterfowl, but because of the whip's range, we're already pretty far away from her when she starts that. There are definitely better ways to cheese her, but I guess if anyone's ever doing an Indiana Jones cosplay, then here you go. This doesn't apply to phase 2 because she gets more aggressive, but at that point, it's the same as any other melee fight. Dodge the big explosions, don't get ran through by her multiple clones, don't let her drop her toxic rosebud on you, it costs way more than she can afford, repeat until she goes down. With my newfound confidence and handy dandy talisman, I think I'll give Godskin Duo another try. So I hear the Mogwyn Dynasty Palace is nice this time of year. Mog Lord of Blood is a pretty standard melee fight. The only thing worth noting is that when he rains blood from above, I can actually outspace it with the whip, so that's nice, I guess. I just have to make sure to dodge all of his attacks, especially the stab into the ground. So I have a good idea. Let's go and make this whip a little bit better. I'm at a point where I need +7 smithing stones, and conveniently there are lots of them in the sewers. Not so conveniently, they are guarded by one of the worst enemy types in all of Soulsborne. Crustaceans. That didn't do as much damage as I thought it would. Have they been nerfed? Bringing our whip to a +23, let's give the Godskin Duo another try. I meant let's give Mog another try. Whoa, 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 whoa. You said nothing about a whole dynasty. Well, that's gonna cost you extra. Up next, I thought I would take on Estelle. The reason being because, well, I'm going to have to beat him anyway, but also I'm trying to get as many levels before having to fight Ripoff ONS again. Oh, I know where this is going, and guess what? That one's free. I actually do a substantial amount of damage by whipping Estelle in the face, although maybe my whip is just a little over leveled at this point. Doesn't matter, we win, and reaching the Apex Predator level of 98, I think it's time to fight Godskin Duo again. Did I say fight Godskin? I meant, hold on, what else could I do? Put on armor? No, not yet. Ah, I know, the Ritual Shield Talisman. This handy little trinket will reduce our damage taken by 30% while at full health. Honestly, I'm not really interested in the healing reduction itself, but by reducing the amount of damage they do, it's easier to heal back to full for every Estus, meaning I can stay in Ritual Sword Talisman range more frequently. Sure enough, this is what pushed me over the edge and topple the duo. With that, I can bring my whip to max potential and take on Maliketh. 306, that's alright. Maliketh kinda has a tiny health bar for a late game boss, so I guess I'll take it. Whoa. You did not say anything about getting a bigger toy. That'll cost extra. God, I love this fight in any run I'm doing. It's just so much fun. He flips around doing all these cool tricks and, well, that's about it, honestly. Maliketh goes down first try, and with Crumbling Fair Missoula finished, I can finally pick up the armor set I've been waiting on. Gold Mask set. Why did I think this set was appropriate? I don't know, honestly. I guess I just thought the nearly naked ripped to pieces rags of armor fit for, you know, the whole establishing order thing. Yep, that's nice, Gideon. Yep, cool. Let me just get behind you, and I love how Gideon is either a stupid easy fight or a right pain in the ass. There is no in between. In this case, he was the former, and we hardly ever even gave him time to cast. It's time for quite possibly the best fight in the whole game, Godfrey the First Giga Chad. Unfortunately, for as much as I love it, it is kind of uneventful. There aren't any tight windows for attacks or anything, it's just a normal melee fight. Still annoyed I can't riposte though. The same could be said for Hoaraloo, although I will say this gave me a bit of a heart attack. Other than that scare and occasionally getting kicked straight to the jaw, nothing happens. He goes down first. Oh, bull, he jumped over it. First try, I said. With 4 remembrances left, I decide to take on the dragon pair, starting with Vortisax. Now, there are 2 ways to get to that boss, either through Mog the Omen in the sewers, or the Valiant Gargoyles in Siofra Aqueducts. My chat wanted to see me in pain, so they voted for the Gargoyles, but to my surprise, being ridiculously overleveled pays off. I didn't even really need a strategy for this fight, I just kinda swung until they fell over. This happened way more often than it should have in this run. Alright, it's time for Vortisax. Or it would be if I didn't forget to give dear old Fia half a centipede. So a quick run to the Divine Tower later and she hugs me. Finally, some wholesome content on this degenerate video. It's still gonna cost her extra though. Vortisax is such a cool boss. I feel kind of bad that all I'm doing is running around and whipping his ankles. I didn't even concern myself with his attacks. I have so much health at this point that it doesn't even matter, and with that, he's down on the first try. I just slaughtered a dragon and then died to broken ankles. What is this, Skyrim? 2 heads? Now that's one bad dragon. I've been informed that the script actually says badass looking dragon. Gotta keep that family friendly content, don't we? The more I play this game, the more I feel like this fight is a disappointment. Mechanically speaking, that is. It's a beautiful fight, but Placiduous Axe just kinda doesn't stop us from hitting him. He's just not aggressive enough, but I can guarantee one person out there will say, "It's because you're only attacking the tail, try standing in front of him." To which my response would be, why? The game gives us this absurdly huge arena and doesn't stop me from running behind him. If From really wanted to, they could have included a fast, high-damaging tail smash attack. But they didn't. Placiduous Axe even has Midir's laser attack. Could you imagine if they made this fight Midir, but smaller, faster, and with an extra head? Now that would be a challenging dragon fight. Speaking of challenging fights, we have one that shouldn't be, but is because I'm insane and can't enjoy myself unless I'm being punished every 6 seconds. Rykard. So I'm sure y'all were expecting the same thing as always, blah blah phase 1 easy, blah blah phase 2 impossible. Well, you're not wrong, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Plan A was to whip the big snake until he died. Plan A did not go very well. So what's plan B then? Plan B is blood. That's right, I decided to dip my whip in the blood of my enemies to see if I could get a few bleed procs. My hope was that I can basically speed up the amount of damage I was doing to finish him off before the lava finished me off. Plan B also failed. I ended up getting the same amount of damage as when I didn't have a literal wet noodle for a weapon. I guess that's mostly a testament to how RNG heavy this fight can be when you're only using melee. Anyway, what's plan C? Plan C is Kabetter Whip. I was on the fence about doing this because is it really an ordinary whip run if I use a different whip? Well, I know someone out there is gonna say it's not, but also, too bad. The bleed on Hoslow's pedal whip is almost double that of the blood grease, in theory meaning we should be able to proc it twice as often. My first attempt trying, I got pretty far into phase 2 until... yeah... But I know with a little luck on my side I can do it, and sure enough, about 5 tries later, he goes down. For those of you wondering, Plan D would have been dual-wielding whips, and Plan E would have been a Serpent Hunter Spear. Last but certainly not least, we have Radagon of the Golden Order. I was playing pretty sloppy in this fight. Like, really sloppy. Maybe that's the way he likes it, I don't know. It doesn't really matter because he is an extremely fair fight, and after chugging way too many essences, we move on to the Elden Beast. God, I hate cardio. Surprise, nothing happens in this fight either. We just chase down the space whale and whip him good until the fight's over, and we have beaten Elden Ring by dominating the lands between with an ordinary whip. Big thanks to my amazing patrons. Stay beautiful, y'all, and until next time, my friends, don't you dare go hollow.